Hello everyone, how are you today? Today we're talking about, are you an emotional eater and how to banish those comfort foods for good. So I'm Kelsie Michaud and I help people to gain control of emotional eating so that they can feel healthy and confident as they make peace with food and their body. So many people will count calories and exercise, but they're struggling to lose weight because they emotionally eat. This is like, there's actually a number of so many strategies out there that you can actually put into place to beat cravings and overcome this comfort eating. So you could go to a therapist and you could talk to them about an addiction, say something like gambling or smoking or alcohol. But everyone needs to eat. So, if losing weight were just a matter of counting calories and exercising more, then there would be, it would just we'd easily achieve our goal weight and we'd be able to stay there and just maintain. So if you're coming on today, say hello, let me know you're here. And if you have any questions along the way too about the content that I'm covering, please feel free to pop it in the comments and let me know what you're thinking. Stopping emotional eating, it means achieving a healthy relationship with food and without all that obsessive thinking and self-judgment that we sometimes put on ourselves. So one thing you can do is just hit that pause button. So this technique is really effective for those times when you're really tempted to eat something that you know you probably shouldn't and you know you really don't need it. So more often than not, we end up feeling guilty after eating certain foods. So the next time that you're, resisting temptation, imagine that you have this remote control on your life and picture yourself there. And picture that bag of chips or the bar of chocolate, whatever your thing is, picture that in your hand. And when you're tempted to eat something that you know you don't really need, by using this remote control technique, you're pausing and you're being able to consider how you will feel afterwards, and that can help you to stop that urge to overindulge. So once you actually put yourself on pause and allow your thoughts to think for a minute, you're physically going to spend the next few seconds running through the whole scenario. And you're going to think about it mentally in your head. This is kind of like what I call a mental rehearsal. And you're watching yourself eating whatever it is you're tempted by. And then you need to fast forward yourself to the next 5 minutes after you've actually finished eating. And then think about, okay, now how would you be feeling? How are you feeling at that point? And what are you actually thinking? What's going on through your head? And this will probably be, the usual routine of, you're feeling a little guilty, you're beating yourself up in your own mind because you ate some unnecessary foods. Well, now that you've just reminded yourself of those feelings, you're going to mentally rewind to the present, bring yourself back, and spend a few moments now playing through that scenario one more time. But this time, I want you to add in like a happy ending and really see yourself and recognize yourself that you're not actually hungry and you don't really need this. You don't really need this food, okay? So once you do that, you're going to fast forward 5 minutes later again, and now you're realizing you're feeling strong, you're feeling positive, you're proud of yourself, and the reality is that craving, it started in your mind, and you are in control of your thoughts. So now you want to rewind back to the present and consider two possible outcomes. Either you're feeling bad or you're feeling good. Because comfort eating, it's not normally about, being greedy or anything like that, or it's not even about food, but it's a way to deal with our negative emotions. So running through that, putting yourself on pause for a few seconds, it gives you the opportunity to just really take a look at how you're thinking. What am I feeling? Do I really want this? Do I really need this? And I do this quite a bit with my clients. We always have a mental rehearsal. It's something we practice, and then I have them practice it on their own. So that can really help them get them to their goals because they're envisioning a way that they want to see themselves in a positive manner. So next, let's reset your hunger dial. So by that I mean your hunger and your desire to eat are two different things, but they are closely related. So, so often compulsive eating and those sugar cravings, they have nothing to do actually at all with being hungry. They're actually driven by our emotional needs. So think about that for a minute. Like if you haven't eaten for a few hours and your stomach feels really empty and you're hearing, that rumbling in your stomach, this could be real hunger. Hi Tammy, how are you? Thanks for popping on with us. So the best way to check for that, first of all, stop and have a glass of water. And then if you're still feeling those empty feelings and those rumblings in your stomach, and within like 15 minutes later, then you're definitely hungry. Hi, Father Capaverde, how are you? Thanks for coming on. So if you have just eaten a meal, let's say, and you still feel like you want more, you're still searching, then that's just a desire to eat, and that's not actual hunger, okay? So now let's identify those cravings and what they actually are. So if you're having like this really strong urge to eat like a certain food that you might have in mind, and you also are experiencing feelings of maybe some tension or anxiety, then that's a craving. So cravings will go away because they're only thoughts that we create within ourselves. We can get rid of them just as quickly because, if you're not giving into it, you can make those thoughts go away. So what you want to do is distract yourself. Go get yourself a nice glass of water. Go play with your dog, play with your kids, call a friend, remove yourself from the situation, and then it's totally possible, you'll find that the craving has passed because it's usually only for a few moments. And when you distract yourself, you're rewiring those connections in your brain to not automatically go for food. You're rewiring it to go do something else. So you're breaking up that natural habit pattern that you were creating, and you're creating new ones. Okay, does that make sense? Let me know if you have any questions as I'm going along. So, some deep breathing too is often like really helpful. You feel more relaxed and just giving the craving a chance to pass. So rather than just acting on it and acting so quickly, slow down and give yourself a moment. Okay, and keep a food diary. This can be really, really helpful. I have my clients do this, and it's a way for me to not only check in with them and see exactly what they're eating so I can pinpoint what's going on with them and their body and how they're feeling, and according to whether they're reaching their goals or if they're on track and those sorts of things. But it can really help you be accountable to yourself as well, because it has been proven that keeping a food diary can be a really useful tool to help you give this greater awareness and accountability. So for some people, just knowing that they have decided, to keep this log and like everything that they eat throughout the day makes them less likely to end up binge eating and making poor food choices. So food diary can be just a real eye opener for some, when you're making that connection between your hunger levels and when you actually eat. So you can really look back and see. So you have clear information right there for you to look back on too. So for some people, even a slight feeling of hunger can trigger really strong emotions. So they eat often, but with only like a small gap in between meals. So you can also use that food diary to log how hungry you were and when you ate. So you can use, use the 0 to 10 scale, where 0 is not very hungry, not really hungry at all, and 10 is like you're ravenously hungry. So then you can take a look back at your evidence that you have, because it's all written out right there for you, and then you'll be able to see a pattern in your eating and then adjust from there. And let's optimize your digestion. When you try to make all of your food as much as possible, try to make it as much as possible at home, because otherwise, if you're eating out a lot, there's a lot of, even if you think you're getting a healthy meal, sometimes there's a lot of added butter and salt to these meals that we don't realize. Or if you're just popping a processed food in the microwave, tons of sodium right there. So when you prepare and cook your food, all of your senses are being engaged, and they're sending these messages to your brain that food is on its way. So the brain in turn will then send messages to your digestive system to stimulate that production of the enzymes that we need to, go through the digestion process. So if you usually eat lunch at your desk or, in the office, make it a rule to eat somewhere else if you can, if that's an option for you. Or even better, take a break away from the office to, get away from your desk altogether. So if you do have to stay at your desk, try to eat your lunch like with turning all of your technology off so that you can be a little more mindful about your eating. Turn off those screens and minimize all of that other distraction so that you can focus on your food. And if you usually eat your meals at home, with it sitting on your lap in front of the TV, try to eat at the table instead, or try to just shut the TV off altogether. And if that's not possible, at least for the duration of your meal, try to just be mindful of, slow down, take some nice deep breaths, make sure you're chewing your food really good, because you want to make sure you're chewing every bite like fully until it's completely broken down before you swallow. And this is because, well, first of all, many people underchew their food, and that makes it harder for our bodies to digest. So even if you're eating this really good, nutritious meal, your body's digestive system will still struggle if you haven't taken the time or you haven't done the work to actually chew that food really well, and your body's going to have a much tougher time to extract all those nutrients from these larger chunks. So let's see, Father Capoverdi, I eat my food too fast. Yes, a lot of us do. I totally get that. Sometimes I don't even sit down to eat. I need to practice what I preach. But yes, it's so important to slow down. And when we slow down, if you take some nice deep breaths, like 10 slow deep breaths before you eat, you're going to tell your body that you are not stressed. Even if you are, you're going to trick your brain. So it's a way to trick our brain. And you can have your body, bring it to a nice calm space, some nice deep breaths before you eat. And the benefit to that is that when you're under stress, when your body's under stress and you're trying to eat, most likely a lot of that food is going to be stored as fat. So think about it, like when you're stressed, you're like tense, or think of like your clenched fist because you're so stressed. And then the minute you relax, it's like you loosen up and your body relaxes. Well, when you're stressed out, your body's holding on to everything. It doesn't want to let go. You may think you're eating the healthiest meal on the planet, you're exercising, you feel like you're doing everything right. But if you are under a ton of stress, forget about it. Your body's not going to do what you want it to do. It's going to hold on to all of that weight. And the minute you relax and let go, and all of a sudden you come to this nice calm space, the weight will go too. And that's why it's so important to not eat when we're stressed. So it's important to shut all that technology off, sit down at the table, take some nice deep breaths, come to a calm space, and eat slowly, eat mindfully, which means enjoying the food. Look at the food, look at the textures, feel the textures, the smell, the taste, and then chew it fully. And by chewing it fully, once it gets to our tummies there, it's going to have a much easier time to digest it. And when it has an easier time digesting, then less of it is stored as fat. So does that make sense for you guys? I hope that's making sense. Let's see, Father, my problem is I really love the food I cook and I can't wait to eat it. That's awesome. At least you're cooking. You're cooking at home. And when I start to eat it, let's see, it tastes so good. I just want to eat it. I know. And especially with the first couple of bites. The first couple of bites, if you're honoring your hunger, your first couple of bites are always the best. They're always so good. But you know that you're no longer hungry when you get to the point where the food isn't even tasting that good to you anymore. It's not like it was at the first couple of bites. So that's a cue to, you should probably stop, okay? Because you want to honor your fullness as well. You don't want to overdo it, and you don't want to feel guilty and have feelings of shame, and you want to feel good. You want to honor yourself and your body and your hunger and your fullness, and you want to continue to feel good, and you want to reach your goals, right? So that's my suggestion for you. So and a good habit to get into while you're consciously slowing down and eating is also to put your fork down. that can help you to slow down. Put your fork down in between bites and give you that time to actually chew your food fully. And eating like this, of course, it will take a little longer, but when we're always on the go, we're always so rush. Like I said, sometimes I don't even sit down, but I am always thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, I need to stop and I need to breathe and I need to calm down and just, bring myself to a good space. Because, it's going to take a little longer, but you'll find that, you'll almost definitely always be content to eat less than you usually would when you're putting your body in that nice calm space. So I hope that made sense. I hope that was helpful. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to leave them in the comments for me. And that's about it for myself today. I'm going to hop off and continue with the rest of my work, and I have a bunch of content to continue working on. And I mentioned I'm coming up with a 3-day crash course to overcome overeating. So that's in the process, that's in the works, and it's coming up in I'm hoping to release it in July, and I am going to work on that today as well. So if you guys have any questions for me, feel free to reach out at any time. If you have any questions about your health or your weight and you'd like to dive a little deeper into that, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I'm going to hop off, and I hope you all have a very beautiful day. I'll talk to you guys soon.